the sky. It fell from the sky and consumed all in front of it, whether animal, girl, or guy. I'm John Renton with the retro view of The Blob from director Chuck Russell. He also helped write the movie. If the name Chuck Russell isn't quite ringing a bell, maybe these movies will. The Mask, yes. This same guy did the Jim Carrey-inspired comedy The Mask. He also did Eraser. Not to be confused with the band Eraser, because it's just a little respect, just a little bit of respect to me. Boy, that was a terrible rendition. He also did The Scorpion King. That was the last really notable movie that he did. He also did Bless the Child. If you've never seen Bless the Child, oh boy, just look for that to see where Kim Basinger's career just fucking fell off a goddamn motherfucking cliff. But anyway, Chuck Russell also and Frank Darabont, he wrote The Fly 2, Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and others. So yeah, there was quite a bit of talent behind this. I mean, granted, at that point, Chuck Russell was really a virtual unknown, but nevertheless, this has Shawnee Smith, Kevin Dillon, Donovan Leitch Jr., Jeffrey DeMann. Is he DeMann? No, Goldberg was DeMann. Non-wrestling fans have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. And this is a retelling slash remake slash body horror masterpiece of the 1958 original that starred Steve McQueen, if you know what I mean. It wasn't a great movie. I mean, when I say masterpiece, that's almost in quotations. But in the late 80s, and even in the mid 80s, there were some really, really good horror movies. Invaders from Mars and others that had a great body horror influence. And this was really fucking terrific because it took the concept of the Steve McQueen starring, 1958 original and said, okay, we can't tell the same goddamn story without throwing our own shit in. So that's what they did. They basically had the Blob be all gross, pink, even a blob vulva at some point, because of course that's what I would see because I'm a bit weird like that. Take the whole thing about it coming down to Earth, killing people, growing bigger, and taking bodies in, and also it doesn't like the cold. That's pretty much it right there. And there are a lot of idiots in this movie because if you're going to remake a movie, you have to make the characters not only have worse hair, like mullets and poofy hair and all the shoulder pads, because this was the late 80s, do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan, good old MST3K. You have to make the characters even dumber, make them make dumber decisions. You also have to have a little bit of a tweak to the goddamn story. So yeah, as it is, it's not a particularly great movie, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of goddamn fun. And after 30 some odd years, it still holds up. Sure, there are the green screen effects, and the fact that special effects were more practical at this point, even though there were some great green screen effects, but they really, really leaned into the body horror stuff, and you got a good body count here. It's Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Wait, no, that's another movie that is really good, by the way. You should check that out. It was also filmed in Abbeville, Louisiana, and other parts of Louisiana. You could tell because there was just a smell of inbreeding coming off of it. Sorry to anybody in Louisiana watching this. I'm sure you're all lovely people, but I have also heard that you don't really want to go into a lot of areas of Louisiana, even if you're a citizen there, and if you're not white. So a strange rock crashes down to Earth. An old guy pokes at it, and then a blob comes out and attaches itself to him. He tries to cut off his hand. It consumes his blood, consumes him, and then goes on a rampage. Pretty much it right there. And also a government agency comes in and we get, them put under quarantine. And a few, rebels with a rebel yell, they want more, more, more. They actually just want out of this government agency's grip. They don't want to be quarantined because, they have to escape the fact that a murderous blob from space is coming to attack them. So again, not a particularly, great movie, high concept, but it's fun. That 80s synth music, you have to pay extra to have that sweep over your abandoned town. And, Brian, played by Kevin Dillon, is a bit of a rebel, and he wants to jump a particular bridge in his bike for whatever fucking reason, and he crashes. He has to go fix his bike, and this old guy sees him and decides to laugh at him while also collecting cans. He's not kicking the can, he's collecting them, because we don't kick cans out here. Cans have feelings too. If you believe that, seek help. And there's also a guy named Paul. He's a bit of a jock. He asks Meg out, and basically, Meg, she Meg's kind of like, the one heroine of the movie that isn't a complete buffoon. She does yell a whole lot. She has a couple brothers end up going to a movie a little bit later. I wonder what's going to happen there. And lots of creepy ass people in this town because it's Louisiana, including a pastor. It's very fucking creepy. They have the old story about a guy getting condoms from a pharmacist, and then this guy goes to see a girl he wants to take out on a date, and it turns out to be the pharmacist. The pharmacist also looks familiar, but they couldn't quite place the guy. And maybe don't poke at the space rock that has mysterious goo in it, and then you won't cause anything. Maybe. I don't know why people do that. It's no wonder that movies like this keep getting made, because we could just see, hey, I see this. Let's just start poking at it. Why is this thing getting on my hand? So then, Brian and Meg are on a date. They run into, Paul and Meg are on a date. Pronouns, pal. Shawnee Smith playing Meg, by the way. They run into Brian, who is trying to help the old guy. They take him to the hospital. And the old guy basically says, the sky, it fell from the sky. And he gets eaten. Paul's trying to call the sheriff, played by Jeffrey DeMann, and he gets eaten in a funny, hilarious way, as opposed to a not funny, hilarious way. It's a serious, hilarious way. Actually, I suppose that if you saw your loved one get eaten by a mysterious blob, you would think, I should stop doing psychedelic mushrooms. Oh yeah, my family's okay. Then basically what ends up happening is Brian and Meg have to team up. They have to do this. She has to convince Brian what's going on. It's like that thing killed the old man. It killed Paul, and it's getting bigger. That's what she said. Sorry, guys. Special effects are very good and practical and well done. It's a shame this movie didn't get back its $19 million budget during initial theatrical releases. Since then, it has attained cult classic status. Easy for me to say, and it's become something a lot of people remember for good, bad, or indifferent. And a sink gets clogged, and then the blob somehow is in the sink. It's somehow all over the goddamn place. Pulls a guy down in the sink. That's a fucking hilarious goddamn death scene. And then walking on the ceiling like it's Lionel Richie, and then it gets the diner owner in there, which is really fucking hilarious. She's in a phone booth trying to call somebody, and then I kept thinking, Hans Moleman, I need the biggest, blob in the phone booth that you have. No, that's too big. And then the priest sees the blob and is like, oh, it's the reckoning, it's all this, it's this, oh my god, what the hell's going on? And then what ends up happening is he collects some pieces of the blob that was found frozen in this little, in the freezer area because it can't stand the cold. So he takes some pieces and puts it in a jar because the priest is clearly goddamn insane. And then there's a government biological containment unit headed by Dr. Meadows, played by, and I believe it was Joe Seneca, who was actually pretty good in this. He didn't get a lot of screen time because he got killed later, and also he was introduced within, I think maybe with 40 minutes left. But then we go to the theater where Meg's, brother and friend are watching this movie about a hockey mask guy killing people. Jeez, if only they ever came up with a concept for something like that. And the projector guy is playing with a yo-yo, but ends up getting killed because he looks in the air duct, and then this thing is somehow there and just kills him. And then it's playing with the yo-yo. It's just funny. Yo-yo Blob and Sebastian. That should have been the title. Nobody would have understood it. Because I don't even think Yo-Yo Ma at that point in 1988 was anything. I mean, he might have been. I mean, he was probably born. I don't know how famous he was by 88. And basically, Brian and Meg get captured. Brian escapes because he's going to go off on his own down the only road he's ever known. Meg gets back to town, sees her parents. Oh my god, we got to go get your brother. Let's go get the brother. And these government agents that are in all this, sealed biohazard suit stuff since they only have vision like this, they can't see, they have no object permanence, so they can't fucking see where anybody's going. Meg goes to the theater and rescues them after basically this blob continues to grow, killing more people, playing around with them, and doing all this, chopping them with the edge of his non-existent hand. They get in the sewer, and then they get trapped down there. One of the kids ends up getting killed. No big goddamn loss since the kids were super fucking annoying. I don't hate kids, but, you know, I don't mind aiming stuff at kids, especially jokes or bricks. I don't think you understand how much I loathe children. Actually, just in movies, it's really not their fault. But never mind. Brian finds out before escaping this, you know, little government enclave deal that this was something that was created in space because a virus thing, an organism, was created on a man-made satellite, and now we have to find a way to contain it. Ignoring the fact that this thing is getting so goddamn huge is getting to the point it's impossible to fucking contain it. But Meadows is determined. It's they're expendable. These are acceptable losses. We will trap them in the sewers and we'll kill them. And then that thing ends up escaping because it ends up getting Meadows, and then you try blowing it up and that doesn't work. You piss it off by making it grow with fire and bodies. And then Shawnee Smith basically says, okay, I'm going to use a fire extinguisher. And ends up killing, or, you know, freezing it gradually. And Brian ends up getting this freezy truck that just happens to exist in a goddamn mechanic shop literally down the road. And he manages to help freeze it, or at least he tries to, but then he gets knocked over, and the freezy tank ends up becoming the one lone weapon that Meg can use. She's shooting to try and save Brian, and then she gets caught trying to jump off while this explosive device is going to blow the thing up and blow it into a million pieces and freeze it temporarily. And then what ends up happening is Brian has to save her. The thing gets blown up, and then we smash. They take it to the ice house, I guess, before it gets all, you know, defrosted. Apparently, they have a really, really good ice house that hopefully will never shut down. And then what ends up happening is the priest is giving these vigils and giving these speeches, intense, just like the old goddamn day. Boy, hey, that sermon was intense. And what ends up happening is he talks about the day of reckoning, and they're like, and the patrons are like, well, when's the day of reckoning coming? The Lord will give me a sign, and there's the little blob dealie in the jar, hinting at a sequel that unfortunately never came because $19 million, the movie only made about 8.5, really, or 8.5, something like that. Really, really sad that it didn't get that, because I would have liked to have seen the Blob 2, Electric What the Fuck Boogaloo. But, fun movie. Great? Not really, but fun. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.